Hey everyone, and welcome back to Sports Television. Today we have a special video on hand. I'll be doing my first official mock draft for the NFL 2021 draft. 2021 draft takes place April 28th. If you scroll to my former videos, I also did some draft analysis in 2020, and they were okay, not great, so my goal is just to improve. I'm not going to get it perfectly, but my goal is to make sure that I can get it as perfect as possible. So, first selection, Jaguars. I think it's a no-brainer. They need a quarterback. They're going to draft Trevor Lawrence, the top quarterback on my board and basically every other expert's board. So we're going to draft him. Next up, we have the Jets. Now, this is an interesting one. Just traded Sam Darnold, so they are going QB 100%. And it's who they pick between Fields and Wilson. I think Wilson is a bit overrated. I would personally, if I were an NFL GM, I would possibly pick Wilson, but I think that as a prospect, his comparisons are inaccurate. I still think he's an okay quarterback. I would pick Fields here if I was an NFL GM, but I think they're going to go Zach Wilson. Next up is the 49ers. They also need a quarterback. So will it be back-to-back-to-back quarterbacks? I say yes. I think that they go Mac Jones here out of Alabama for the third overall pick after just trading up to get that pick. So they're going to go Mac Jones. Next up is the Falcons, who also need a quarterback. Will they go quarterback here? I don't have them going quarterback. I having them go a tight end and going Kyle Pitts out of Florida. This could possibly be a situation that they could try to pick up Fields if he drops, but I doubt it. Next up are the Bengals. I have the Bengals looking tackle to protect Joe Burrow. I have them getting Penei Sewell out of Oregon. Next up are the Dolphins. They get the number one wide receiver in the draft in their eyes, which is definitely between Chase, Smith, and Waddle. I think Smith is more likely than Waddle. I have them going Jamar Chase, however. Next up are the Lions. They also need a wide receiver. They also do need a cornerback, so they could pick up Surtain here over a wide receiver. Just lost Galladay and Jones, so they're probably going to go wide receiver, and they're probably going to pick Devontae Smith out of Alabama. Next up, we have the Panthers. They need a tackle. They need a cornerback bad. I have them picking Patrick Surtain as their cornerback. Next up is the Broncos. They also need a QB bad. I have them getting a QB. I have them getting Justin Fields out of Ohio State. Cowboys, they need a cornerback. They need an offensive tackle. They need an edge bad. Edge-wise, not really any good edges that you should really, pick at this spot. I could see them trading down here possibly in a trade scenario. Cornerback-wise, they just lost Surtain. They could have Horn. They could have Newsome, who are both on the board. However, if you look in the offensive tackle, there are a few good ones on the board in Darisaw and Slater. So this is the first kind of tough pick for me personally. If you look at IDL, Barrymore, but he's nowhere near a 10 slot. That would be a reach. I have them leaning offensive tackle here and picking Slater. Giants, they need an edge. I don't have them going edge. I have them going linebacker. I have them picking up Micah Parsons out of Penn State. Eagles desperately need a wide receiver. They need a tight end as well. Just lost Pitts, so they're not going to reach on Pat Freiermuth. Cornerback-wise, they could pick up Horn here. I think a lot of Eagles fans are clamoring for a wide receiver, but their, general manager and their front office tend to go against the fans' opinions on multiple things. But I do have them getting a wide receiver here. I do have them going Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. Next up are the Chargers. A lot of controversy on what the Chargers are going to do with this pick. They could trade down. They could trade up. They could try to sign a player like an Orlando Brown Jr. from the Ravens, and the Ravens would get this pick. I don't have that happening for the purposes of this draft. If there will be updated draft orders before draft day, I will certainly make an updated video. But as of now, I'm thinking that they probably try to get a cornerback here. J.C. Horn is still on the board. Safety-wise, a lot of reaches here. Probably the top is Trayvon Moehrig, but he should not go 13th. Offensive tackle-wise, they do have Darisaw on the board to protect their young QB. I have them going probably Darisaw out of Virginia Tech. Vikings, they're not going to draft the safety. IOL, they do have Vera Tucker on the board. Edge-wise, they could pick up a Jalen Phillips. Cornerback-wise, they have Horn on the board. I think they go J.C. Horn here. Patriots, they are going to go QB. I think they pick Trey Lance out of North Dakota State University. Cardinals at 16th, I have them thinking about a running back, possibly an Etienne or a Harris. It's kind of pick your poison. Etienne is definitely more versatile. Lacks size, though, when it comes to height and the amount of pounds. Najee Harris, 6'2", 230, an absolute monster, while Etienne's only 5'10", 210. So, kind of pick your poison. I have them going Najee Harris over Etienne here in the 16th spot. Raiders up next. I do have them considering getting Jenkins or Cosme. I'm sort of leaning towards Jenkins here. They could try to look at a linebacker in someone like Owusu, Koromoa. That could be an option for them. If you look at IOL, Tucker is still on the board for them. Safety-wise, they could try to get Trayvon Morig here. I think it would be a reach. I'm going to have them getting Trayvon Morig because they seem to reach every single draft, so let's go there. Next up, the Dolphins, again, with another first-rounder. I have them considering an edge, picking their poison in edge. I have them probably going... I have them going running back. I have them getting Travis Etienne, I think, here. Good steal for them. Next up is an offensive tackle, linebacker, or a safety. I could see a wide receiver here, but they did get a few wide receivers, so they sort of addressed that. For offense tackle, Taven Jenkins is still on the board out of Oklahoma State. They could go linebacker here in Owusu Karamoa. They could also go safety, but no real good safeties on the board. Wide receiver-wise, they do have Bateman on the board. I don't have them reaching for that. Could pick Gray Newsome. I also don't have that, so I most likely have them picking Owusu Karamoa. Bears up next. They're not going to pick a quarterback. A lot of good quarterbacks have left. They may trade out of this spot and try to get some more picks. I do have them considering an offensive tackle in Taven Jenkins. Wide receiver-wise, they could pick up Bateman. They did lose Allen Robinson, which was a huge part of their offense. So that's who I have them going, Rashad Bateman, to the Bears. Next up, the Colts. Colts, really solid offensive line, but they do need a tackle, and Taven Jenkins is sitting there. I have them going Jenkins at 21. Next up are the Tennessee Titans. They need cornerback and wide receiver desperately. They could pick up a Kadarius Toney out of Florida here, possibly. Cornerback-wise, Farley or Newsome, I have them probably going wide receiver and picking up Kadarius Toney out of Florida. Jets up next just drafted Zach Wilson, their quarterback of the future. So I have them going cornerback here, or possibly edge. There are some good edges still on the board, so I have them picking an edge. I have them going Azeez Ujulari, a little bit more of a solid edge rusher. Maybe does not have the intangibles that Phillips has, but definitely a solid edge rusher. Phillips has a very high ceiling, but a low floor, unfortunately. Steelers would love to have drafted a running back. Both of their big guys got off the board. They do have Javonte Williams sitting here, which is something to consider. His draft stock has risen significantly, with the two North Carolina running backs being top two on the board. I have them considering an offensive tackle after losing a couple parts. Could be a bit of a reach there. Cornerback-wise, they do have Farley on the board and Newsome. I have them going Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. Jaguars, number 1 overall pick. They picked Trevor Lawrence. I have them going a tackle or a wide receiver to help boost Trevor Lawrence. I have them considering Cosme, but I think in the end they go Elijah Moore or Terrence Marshall. They could also try to go to tight end here and get Pat Freiermuth, who has dropped significantly in his draft stock. Could also go safety in Javon Holland. But ultimately I have them picking a tackle, and I have them picking Samuel Cosme out of Texas. Browns desperately need an edge. I have them reaching significantly and I have them picking Kwity Paye, dropping Jalen Phillips again. Next up, the Ravens. They need edge and safety and wide receiver desperately, all three. Wide receiver, you still have Elijah Moore and Terrence Marshall on the board. Ravens like to go for the best player available, and the best player available is Jalen Phillips. So they go Jalen Phillips here at the 27th spot. Next up are the Saints. They desperately need a cornerback. I know I'm using the word desperately a lot, but it's a good way to describe their situation. Wide receiver, they could also need. I have them going Terrence Marshall out of LSU. Green Bay Packers, I have them going wide receiver, offensive tackle. Offensive tackle's a lot of good of them been off the board. I'm going to go with Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss to the Packers. Bills need an edge. I have them going Jason Owe out of Penn State. Lastly, or second to last, we have the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs going offensive tackle. They desperately need it. I have them reaching on Liam Eichenberg out of Notre Dame. Lastly, the Bucks. Considering an IDL position with Barrymore still on the board, that's who I have going to the Bucks. Christian Barrymore. Okay, and that concludes my first round draft. I'll scroll through them briefly. And tell you any considerations that I have. These three quarterbacks are up in the air. I could definitely see Fields going at 3, other than Jones. I could see Fields going at 4 as well, but I have him dropped to the 9th spot. I could also see... where is he? Trey Lance going up higher than 15. Kyle Pitts, I feel pretty solid in the top 4 to 6 picks. The Miami Dolphins picks up in the air. They could go Devontae Smith. They could go Jamar Chase. They could go Waddle. But I ultimately do have them going Jamar Chase. Anything significant? Yeah, we have this reach by the Raiders picking Trevon Moehrig. I think that they reach a lot, so I think that's an accurate pick. We have the Cardinals picking Najee Harris over ETN. I think these could be interchangeable, 16 and 18. And finally, you have some bit of reaches on the edges, picking Ojulari over Phillips. You have Phillips dropping 27. You have a couple of edges in this range here, and then you got some wide receivers to end out the draft. And finally, both the Chiefs and Bucks, 2 Super Bowl teams, picking pretty good needs for them. So this is my first mock draft of the 2021 draft. Thank you for watching Sports Television. If you enjoyed this content, leave a like and subscribe if you want to have more sports commentary. Leave a comment for any other sports or events that you want me to cover on my channel. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.